Hello team, today's challenge is database migration where we're given a schema, which isn't, it's more like default values, but inside of the code, they actually call it schema, right? So our default values and the passed in values, right? This is whatever record we're accessing. And what we need to do here is a database or a data merge. I'm not sure database merge is the right word for this. Just a data merge, right? We're taking the values from this and adding them to this if they don't already exist. So in this case, username and post don't exist inside of the second object, the record. So we add them. Username is empty, post is 0, and of course that verified that we passed in, right? If we go down here to say number 4, it's still username and post, but now we're getting username of camper and role of admin, right? So we don't update username to be empty, right? We want to keep username of camper. We also want to keep role, right? We don't want to remove anything that was in that record. So role stays the same. And the only thing that we really need to add, the only thing that we get to add are that post equals 0 property, okay? So with this, there are two ways to do this, okay? I say two, there are many ways to do this, but today I'm gonna show two. So the first one is really, really fast. We just take schema and spread it in like this and take record and spread it in. The order here does matter, okay? The schema comes first because that way anything that comes second can overwrite these properties, right? When it finally settles, the properties in record will overwrite the properties of schema if they are the same key name, okay? At which point it works. It's just that fast, right? Really, really fast, but maybe in an interview, you're asked to do this without spreading, right? So you can't use the spread property, which means that you have to go a different way, right? You have to do some looping. So let's do that. Right here, we're going to set const output equal to schema, okay? But, sorry, not schema, but record, okay? Because record is what we are updating. But the problem here is that if I go and I loop through and add things to record, to output, sorry, well, output is a reference to record, which is itself passed in by reference. So I would actually be updating anything outside of this function. I would be creating side effects. That's not good, right? We aren't allowed to spread this, right? We aren't allowed to do that. So we need another tool, and we have access to that in structuredClone. Okay, structuredClone creates a deep copy, right? A deep clone of record, whereas the spread operator creates a shallow clone. So something to keep in mind. StructuredClone gets the job done. That's the important thing today, okay? With that, we are going to try and return output, okay? Output, spelling it right, just like that. And what happens in the middle? Well, it's that for loop, okay? But this one, we go let key in schema, okay? So we're gonna iterate over schema and do the thing. The important thing here is that we're using in, okay? In is for objects, of is for iterables. That's very important. So I always get those ones mixed up. If you find that your loop isn't working and you're trying to access the keys on an object, it's probably because you used in instead of. It's happened to me. It might happen to you, but hopefully not. Hopefully not, okay? Inside of here, we have a few different options. So we can go if key in output, right? So going and getting that output just like this, but we don't want that. We actually want the opposite. So in order to do that, we need to wrap it up and go not. We're going to check if key is in the output, and then we're going to flip it, right? So if it's false, it becomes true. If it's true, it becomes false. Brilliant. We're testing to see if it's false, right? And if that's true, then output key equal goes outside schema key. Keep hitting the space bar, but again, that does it. This key in output, it has the possibility of accessing things in the prototype chain, right? So if you want to get very exact and very explicit, then the key here is to not use key in output. Instead, you would use object has own, okay? So we can get rid of all of this. We go capital O object dot has own. And it used to be that you might know this as we could have done output dot has own property. But with output dot has own property, we could actually overwrite has own property. Or there's some trickiness in certain null values or null keys. I don't fully understand it, but has own object dot has own solves for that. Okay, so it's become the new best way of doing this. And it takes two arguments. We pass in output just like this, and we pass in the key that we want to check on. Well, what is that? Well, we called it key, right? And it still works. Okay, so if you can get away with key and output, go ahead. It's pretty safe for this, for what we're doing today. If you need something that is very exacting, then object.hasOwn is your new kit, right? That's the new thing in terms of getting this done. It is ES 2022, so it is still pretty new, which means that you might still have to use hasOwn property. Just be aware that it has some challenges. Okay. And that's it. That's, again, not every solution, just hopefully two good solutions today, right? The simplest is just to spread these two things into a new object, schema first, record second, and we get out a result that is exactly what we need. That was super easy, right? And then here we had to clone this, right? But we didn't want to use spread again, right? I mean, if we aren't allowed to use spread up here, what makes us think we could use spread down here? So in that case, we used structuredClone, right? And structuredClone does exactly what it says on the tin. It creates a clone of this object. At which point we iterate through the schema because that's those are the keys that we want inside of here. And if it has it, or sorry, if it doesn't have it, then we add it. At which point we send it out the door and it's done. Okay. Which one do you like? Which one do you prefer? Did you go a different way? Let me know all that stuff in the comments. Otherwise, today this has been database migration, and I will see you tomorrow.